Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's Superman. Everyone knows this iconic statement from a 1941 television show, Superman, based on a comic book. And it's 2012, and we all know a phrase from a television show that most of us have never seen. Comic books are more than just children's picture books. They're movies, television shows, toys, video games, novels, and they're also a part of American history. Today we're going to discuss the impact that books have made on TVs, movies, and American history. Much of the information that I'm going to share with you today came from a magazine called Mental Floss. It's published in 2008. It's where knowledge junkies go to get their fix. From everything that is movie information database, IMDb, and from my own first-hand experience as a comic book geek. Comic books have been made into television shows for years. Smallville was based on a teenage and young adulthood of Superman. The show lasted for 10 seasons. I can attest for its success and the ability to adapt movies to television shows. Comic book fans were happy with the inconsistencies of the comic books, and non-comic book fans were none the wiser. Animated shows have also been extremely popular. Probably the first animated show to have a major fan base and spring the comic book to animated series shows was Batman the Animated Series. The show was amazing. I was 10 when it came out, so I was like, yeah! But I still watch it, and it's still good. There are so many shows that have been adopted from comic books. Some you may know, and others may surprise you. Maybe you remember staying up late at night to watch Tales from the Crypt, only to end up with nightmares. That's right, it was originally a comic book. Much along the lines of the show, each comic had a new tale of terror, and each episode maintained the same theme. On a less terrifying note, the teen comedy drama Sabrina the Teenage Witch was also a comic book, created in 1962. One of the most popular TV shows on today is AMC series The Walking Dead, which first aired in 2010. This show originally began as a comic and is currently in its 104th issue. In my personal opinion, the show is amazing, but the comic is much better. Comic books have great potential to be a great medium to adapt to television, and will usually end up either being a great success or a flop. The potential for success is there, but sometimes costumes are hard to be made, and sets can be hard to create. These problems are becoming less of an issue as technology progresses. Some comic books thrive making the transition from comic to the TV, while others seem to flop. Could this be because it was a bad idea to make the jump to film? Were the special effects hard to become reality? Is there just too much story to put to film? Or maybe there isn't enough. Maybe it would make a better movie. This year in 2012, 3 out of the top 4 domestic gross movies were comic book films. This also reflects directly in the international box office as well. Needless to say, the potential for success from the transition to comic book to movies is there. According to the Huffington Post, Marvel's 2012 film, The Avengers, had the second highest single-day gross in movie history. Movies, much like television, have been made more crossovers than just superhero flicks. The extremely action-packed movie 300 was once a comic book, as well as Constantine, starring Keanu Reeves. The Crow, Hellboy, Howard the Duck, Jonah Hex, Judge Dredd, Kick-Ass, Men in Black, Road to Perdition, V for Vendetta, Wanted, these were all comic book adaptations. Some worked out better than others, but it's all to be said about any movie. One of the reasons they make for such an easy transition is the flexibility that they have for the movies. During a web chat in 2012, J.K. Rowling, when asked how the films reflect the books, was quoted saying, "I had a lot of input." Stan Lee was interviewed earlier this year and was asked the same questions regarding the comic books. His reply was not really. He said that sometimes he would sit down with a new director if they hadn't made a movie for Marvel and maybe just get to know him. most people probably didn't notice the lack of continuity between the comics and the movies, but for those who are familiar with the comics, understood. Because the multiverse explains it all. There are different universes and comics, so comic book nerds don't have a problem when they stray from the comic, because it's just a different universe. It doesn't matter. But comic books are not always just entertainment. In an article titled Comic Superheroes Who Made a Real-World Difference, Mark Juttery talks about 5 comic book characters that made their mark in history. Superman in the 1940s helped to reduce the strength of the KKK in the South. According to Juttery, there was a man named Stetson Kennedy who went undercover into the KKK, got lots of secrets, and passed those on to the writers of the Superman radio show. These secrets were put into the radio program as Superman battled the KKK, and this exposed a lot of their secrets. By the Klan's secrets being exposed, the program completely stripped the Klan of its mystique, and they were reduced in strength. Jutter also explains that Popeye, backed by the U.S. government, helped the country through the Great Depression. By spreading the word of spinach as an iron-rich meat substitute, as well as canned food as emergency rations. Elvis took his hairstyle and love of short capes from the Captain Marvel Jr. comic that he loved as a child. The ankle monitor came from a New Mexico judge being inspired by a 1977 Spider-Man comic. And that's why Uncle Jim couldn't take you to the mall last year. From print to television, from book to big screen, comic books have been a part of all of our lives, whether we knew it or not. We talked about comic books in movies, television, and in history. I didn't cover this topic because it was something I like. Well, I did, but I also did it for truth, justice, and the American way. Thank you. Woo!
Yeah. Oh man, I already stopped recording. Anyway, hi everyone. All right.